What if you could create more kindness in the world just by being you? Everyone has the potential to create and receive more kindness. What if kindness is more than being nice and compassionate to others? Have you ever considered what having more kindness for you could create in your life? Get ready to learn how the energy of kindness is integral to reducing stress in your life and how it can assist in healing your body. Now, here is the host of Cultivating Kindness with Karen, facilitator of healing, Karen Leslie.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here with me. We've got another episode of Cultivating Kindness with Karen. And of course, I'm Karen Leslie, your host for the next, hour or so, or a little less. And for those of you who maybe are joining me for the very first time, a deep welcome to you. I hope you really enjoy everything that we'll be sharing today, and I'd love to hear from you. So today, this is one topic that, to be honest, kind of confused me for a while. Now, those of you who've been following me, you know I have a long history of over 2 decades of working with energy, working on myself, and working with clients in so many different ways, which is great because it keeps my life so fun. But imagination was something that for a long time, I really struggled with it. I struggled with understanding it. I struggled with looking at it and thinking, so is there a way for this to actually be productive? So let's go to the show notes just for a moment here. What I had written is this: let your imagination run wild. Right? How many of you have heard that? I know I have. Then we have here, do not judge what comes to mind. Open your imagination and let your thoughts run wild. Such great advice until you take a deep look at what your imagination may be showing you. Have you just opened up Pandora's box? What if a controlled imagination was actually a better thing to create and master? What could having a controlled imagination offer you? So pros and cons here, maybe, letting your imagination just run wild, being in that space of just whatever comes in, versus saying, no, and that's about it. No. When you look at having a controlled imagination, it's really very much the opposite of letting it run wild. Now, there's pros and cons to both. There's no question about it. And I'm really hoping we dig deep into this today during our show. And my goal here is to help you come to your own conclusion, where it is you want to be with how you wish to work with your imagination, and to bring forward to you some of the pitfalls that our imagination does create for us, and also to highlight some of the amazing things that this does as well. This attribute within our mind, this place that we can go to, the space of being that is a mystery, that is known and comfortable, that is a challenge at times, like it causes confusion. It really can cause confusion. And now I think I'm coming out on the other side of that confusion. It took me some time. So, one of the things I do here on Cultivating Kindness with Karen is bring together concepts or experiences that I have had and explaining to you sort of, okay, what was the challenge? What did I do? And how did I get to where I'm currently sitting with how I'm looking at this? And imagination just fits into this exactly. It's really interesting where we can go with all of this. So maybe you've been told, hey, stop daydreaming. Maybe you've been told, it's time to get your head out of those clouds. It's time to be present. There's no advantage to being far off in Never Never Land. Daydreaming's a waste of time. And then you could have had people say things like, wow, use your imagination. You may be amazed at what comes forward. Or if you could imagine this, what would it look like? Or it is such a gift to have a vibrant imagination. I think I've heard all of those from different people at different times in my life for different reasons. They had their own goals with why they were telling me these different statements. And most often, they were not helpful. Truth be told, not helpful. Even the ones that were really quite well-meaning about, using your imagination and getting into that space. For sure, those that were making comments to me saying, get out of that space, it's a waste of time, that also wasn't helpful either. Our imagination is there for a reason. It's there for a purpose. Nothing that we have access to is an accident. Nothing that we have access to within our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our body, our spiritual awareness is there by accident. It's all there for us to be aware of, to have access to learn how to work with it, and to create this like win-win contribution back and forth. It's there to empower us at times. It is there sometimes to cause some confusion, and that's not a wrong thing. That then can lead you into further investigation, into further using all of these different skills, hopefully, and not closing down. Do you still use your imagination? Or has this kind of been filtered out of you as you've gotten older? We so encourage our children to use their imagination. We encourage imaginative play, exploration in play. And then we get to an age and we start to be in school where it's like not as appreciated anymore, depending on where you are getting your schooling from. There are certain places, 100%, that really encouraging exploration and imagination with children. And I think that's fabulous. But how do you work with that and kind of temper crazy thoughts, unrealistic thoughts? Well, who's judging them as crazy or unrealistic? If you are, then that's likely based on past programming, stories, beliefs, things that you were told at some point that you've come to that point of view of how you're looking at your thoughts. Or it could just be people around you that are giving you that impression of it. Either way, it's not helpful. It's not going to let you step into using your imagination in a way that's going to allow you to flourish and become a person that's inside that maybe you aren't willing to look at, or you're not willing to let fully out. A little bit's okay, but not truly with genuine acceptance and excitement. We have so many conflicting ways to look at how we're using our imagination. Yet, every single thing is a result of somebody's imagination. Inventors, we don't really break it down to think that, well, this box I'm looking into, this computer, this microphone that's sitting here by me, were a result of somebody's imagination. We look at it being someone who isn't, who's an inventor, who's creative and things, but we forget that it first had to come through a thought in the imagination. And then from that thought in your mind, then it becomes a reality in the outside world. So your thoughts are powerful. Your imagination is the center of everything to be birthed, to be looked at, to be considered. Sounds amazing, right? Like, what could be wrong with this? It sounds spectacular. And it's given everything that's around you. The chair you're sitting on, the table you're at, the car you're in, the food you're eating. It came from somebody's thoughts through their imagination. Now, as you know, there's two sides to every coin, and I like to bring that to everybody's attention. So what's the flip side to this? We also can have our imagination filled with worst case scenarios. The examples I gave you were exciting and positive, and you could see the contribution it would have to everybody's well-being and their life. But I believe from personal experience and people I've spoken to and clients that often what goes through the imagination is stress producing, causing anxiety, bringing up doubt. Those thoughts in your imagination are stopping you and controlling you. And if you let the imagination run wild, then you get yourself into a real bind. You really do, because then everything in your body, all your senses, all your chemical responses, your emotions, everything jumps in, as it does with imagination. But when you are thinking about the worst case scenario, then you are locking in difficulties for you. The exact opposite's true. You can use all of that and lock in that future invention, that future concept, that idea for you personally, for your business, for your family, your community, whatever it might be. But those ones are less common. We tend to just kind of brush them off as maybe a pipe dream. That's not really going to happen. I don't know how to make that happen. I don't have the money to make that happen. And we just push them aside. And that's really sad because they're, you, okay. One of the reasons it's so sad to me is when we take imagination and we try to bring in the how to do this, what steps do I have to take? What resources do I have? When we go into that how way of thinking, we destroy the imagination. We really do. We've left it. We've closed the door and we've gone into the logical mind. And now we're spending time there, and we often find evidence within our thoughts and our memories as to why that wonderful thought needs to be just tossed away. Imagination is a gift, and we would be lost without it. Sometimes you'll run into a difficulty, a problem, or something, and you might just pause and go, okay, let me think about this for a moment. And you're searching for something in your conscious mind, for a solution and answer, and it will often work for you. But then you could also do, okay, just give me a moment and go into imagination without agenda, without judgment, and see what comes up next. I would encourage you to look at both ways the next time you have, I don't know, a problem, a dilemma, a choice to make, and you're not sure in that moment what it is you should be doing. Go into that pause, let the logical mind have its time, and then go into that pause and let your imagination have its time and compare what you get. You may be very, very surprised, and happily so. And that is all going to depend on the judgments you're carrying, the beliefs that you're holding on to, and the thought and the feeling you've got right now when I suggested it. It's going to influence you. If you're like, hey, cool, I'm going to try this and see, you may have a different result than the person listening that just went, well, that just sounds kind of crazy. Up to you. We are at our first break. So thank you for being here with me on Cultivating Kindness with Karen here on the Inspired Choices Network. It's a wonderful place for us to hang out every week together, and I'm so glad you're here. Know that you can always get in touch with me by sending me an email. It's simple, Karen@KarenLeslie.ca, and Leslie is Leslie. And of course, I'm on all the social media platforms. You can find me there, and we can get in touch with each other that way if you like. So in the meantime, just hang in here with me for just a couple of minutes while we go to our break. And then when we get back, we're going to look at a little bit more of how to work with our imagination and how to utilize your 5 senses as a positive towards creating with your imagination versus the 5 senses that come through that say, pipe dream, throw it out the window. All right, everyone, we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. So did anybody take just 60 seconds and try working with your imagination in different ways? Maybe. If you did, let me know how it worked out. So let's carry this conversation on. In the first segment, I gave a number of different reasons as to why we may look at the imagination as being really helpful or just being a complete waste of time. And I mentioned the idea of having a controlled imagination. We're going to explore what that is a little bit and how we can use that and cultivate that and the positive side of doing that. We're also going to look at now how the outside world that you are in, your environment around you, the people that you are with, and your response and reactions to all of that also control your imagination. And that they really do. You know, when I was saying earlier, like if you get an idea and you're thinking, oh, I can't bring this forward to the world because of doubts or opinions or whatever, fear, judgments, that's all based on what's going on in the outside world around you. You're letting your environment and the opinions of others control what you will allow in your imagination, what you will allow to come forward into your world. And that's lousy. It really is. It's going to undermine your confidence. It's going to enforce your doubts. It's going to limit what you will allow your imagination to create for you, you will have a hard time letting your imagination run wild. That may not sound like a bad thing, but when we allow the outside world to control how we're responding to something and how we are allowing ourselves to create and think, then we have a problem. Long and short of it, we have a problem. That outside world is more often going to bring you those worst case scenarios in your imagination. That outside world is going to show you all of the yeah, but, or send in those questions of, well, how are you going to do that? And as I said in the first segment, that's going to kill the imagination. That will stop you until you get to that space where you think, yep, okay, that's an expected response, but I'm not going to buy into it. I am not going to accept that as my truth. And you continue to work with your imagination, and you continue to develop that strength, that confidence, that belief in yourself. And as you do that, you will actually gather evidence around you that what your imagination showed you was actually a really good idea. And the more evidence you gather, the more you're going to believe in yourself. And the more you're going to allow yourself that time to be with and in your imagination. It will no longer be a space that's wasted, a time that's wasted, a mental exercise that's wasted. You can cultivate coming into looking forward to spending that time each day. And this is not talking about it from the perspective of maybe meditation, although meditation, of course, can bring in ideas and things as well. When we're using our imagination, it's a little bit different. Meditation, well, depending on the types you're doing, but there's meditations there that want you to really more clear or minimize the number of thoughts you've got going on. Where the way I'm looking at imagination here is to allow thoughts to flow, to let them come into you, and for you to be present enough that you catch them. Like, don't go off on autopilot thinking something else. Be in that space, be open, ask, show me, tell me. What else is possible? Pen and paper might be a good idea, or a voice recorder, because you may get a lot. Just don't go into autopilot of closing it down. Gather that evidence for yourself, right? Now, sometimes when we're looking at our imagination, we will be using it to create something we want to put out into the world. And I think that's quite common. It's why we will use it, probably more often than other ways. But I want to ask you today, have you ever sat and gone into that space of using your imagination with either of these two questions? First one is, what is my highest potential? Have you ever asked that? And then you can follow it up with, what is the best possible version of me that I can imagine? Or what does the best possible version of me look like? And then pause. You're looking for positives. You're looking for supportive information. Now, some of it, it might be scary. It may be too much. It may be like, oh, no, hell no, not going there. Sorry. But you never know. And you won't know until you ask. What could happen to how you see yourself if you set a timer, give yourself even just 3 minutes, and wanted to truly look at What is the highest potential within you? Or what does that best version of you look like? What is it you would love to be doing? And see what comes forward. How does that make you feel? And I want you to really dial in on how you are feeling. What's your heart doing? Is it starting to beat a little faster? Is that because you're excited? Not because you're feeling stressed or anxious? Do you feel like just more areas of your body? Are you aware of being in your body in a different way when you're sitting with your imagination? Can you allow yourself to stop cutting parts of you off and allow all of you to be there and contribute? When we look at the word imagination, and I went to etymology, excuse me, I need a sip of water here. When I looked at the etymology, the first one I could find was 14th century. And it said that the imagination is a faculty of the mind which forms and manipulates images. To form an image of something, to represent something, to form a likeness, to copy, or to imitate. All of those words, I'm hoping, will be inspiring to you to use your imagination to look at it. So if you take the question I just gave you and you're looking at yourself and your highest potential, or what you may look like if you really stepped into your true being and your true self, your mind, with visualizing it in your thoughts, using words, perhaps actually seeing it as if it's on a movie screen in front of you, through all with your imagination, you are assisting your mind in creating this form, in creating this image. And the more you do this, the more your mind is actually going to want to replicate it and bring it into your reality, your life. It's phenomenal. It's really cool. And you've heard me say before, you cannot outperform the image you have of yourself. So if you see yourself in a way that you do not look at as being positive and inspiring and motivating for you, then it's time to use your imagination and look at, okay, how do I see myself? Oh, okay, cool. Don't want that. How would I love to be? How would I love to see me at my greatest potential, performing in my life in a way that just lights me up and makes me feel amazing? And you feel it, you see it, you taste it, you hear it, you use all of your senses. And you know, I'm hoping you know by now, that when you bring in all those feelings and your senses to your imagination, to what you're envisioning, then you help to lock it in and bring it into your subconscious, the place that's actually driving your world. The conscious mind, it will get on board because you will start to seek evidence that this is true, and your conscious mind will find that evidence for you, and that's great. But you got to start with the imagination and with those senses and bringing it into your subconscious. Now, this method works all the time, regardless as to what you're thinking. So if you're in one of those worst case scenarios and you're really anxious about something and you're thinking about all the things that could go wrong with a situation or somewhere you have to be or a proposal you're writing or whatever it is, then you're doing the same thing. You're locking that into your subconscious that you are going to have problems, that this is going to be a struggle, that this is not going to work out in your favor, or whatever it is you're thinking. Then your conscious mind is going to find evidence of that in the world around you. And you've just solidified staying in that way of being in your life and reinforced that image of yourself that you cannot outperform if that's what you believe. Two sides to the coin, equally as powerful. Which one are you going to choose to work with? Are you going to speak to the dark, or are you going to speak to the light? The one you choose to speak with. It's the same idea as that wolf analogy. You know, which wolf are you feeding? Which one are you feeding? Who are you feeding in your own thoughts and imagination? That will be what shows up in your world. Now, I really want to help you get onto that, well, I'm just going to call it a positive side. Yep, total judgment. That side where it is empowering and encouraging you. And we'll get into that after this break. So we have a lot more to go through, so please don't leave. Hang in here, listen to these couple of commercials here from the Inspired Choices Network. And if stuff is coming up for you where you're thinking, that sounds great, Karen, but like I just cannot figure out how I can get there, then reach out. On my website, you can book calls with me. We can have a discovery call and just have a quick chat, 30 minutes, free. And we can see what's in your way. You'd be surprised on what I can help you with in 30 minutes. And then you'll have a really great example of what it's like to work with me. So my website is KarenLeslie.ca. Again, really simple. So go and check it out, not during our commercial break here. After the show, you can go and have a look. All right, we'll be back just in a couple of minutes, everyone. Don't go away.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody. So, imagination here on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. It took some imagination to come up with the title, too. I had a little help, spiritually and physically. But the imagination is, I really think we just don't give it enough credit. We really don't. It is time well spent to visit any topic through your imagination every day. It helps bring you into your body, even though you may feel like you're just living out in the ethers. It actually helps you with your awareness if you choose to take that position with it. Paying attention to your body. What are those background emotions and feelings and sensations? They're key. We cannot convince ourselves to do something or to change something through just using our words. Our mind does not listen to our words first. Our brain and our gut, they respond to the chemical reaction that happens instantly as a result of the emotion, the feeling you have connected to those words. The words are down the list. They don't have huge impact. We'll say, be careful of your words, or don't say that, or listen to the way you talk to yourself. I tell you this all the time. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to how you're speaking about yourself or any topic. The energy of the words is so powerful. So yes, they're important from that perspective, but it's that energy around the word that has that trigger effect for the chemical response and the body's reaction to everything, and that desire to keep thinking that thought over and over again. Recognizing how important this is will go a long way in helping you with your imagination. You need your imagination to change something. You do. When you think about doing something, okay, let's take starting a new workout routine. I'm going to be starting classes soon for Qigong. So when I thought about going and doing Qigong, I had right away in my imagination an image of what that would look like, partly from classes I took a number of years ago, and partly from information I had gathered with my conscious mind about what Qigong is and how people look when they're doing the moves. You could stay there with it that way, or you can go deeper. And again, you can feed either side of the coin. You can go into judgment about how uncomfortable you might be taking these classes, what they might feel like, how you might look, blah, blah, blah. You can stop that. And you can go into, okay, body, what would it actually feel like for you to be moving in this way? What's going to be the gift to taking these classes? And you let the body and thoughts from spirit come in and give you information. And then take it farther. Look at it from a different perspective. You can even take yourself out of your own body, become the observer, just place yourself outside of you. I know it may sound weird, but intention will do it. And just have the intention of looking back at yourself as you're doing Qigong or whatever it is you might be thinking, as you're presenting that paper or the results of a project. Watch yourself. And if you see something that feels uncomfortable or you would prefer to change, hit the rewind button and change it. See yourself doing it in a different way. And then when you get to that place where you see yourself doing it in a way that you enjoy, that feels good, then sit with that, be with that, and give your mind and your body, your brain, your gut, all of you, your nervous system, everything, that moment to feel it and be it and to adjust to it. Now, here's where the imagination part is important. being in that space, seeing what it is you would like, what you would love to do, envisioning that best version of yourself, you help your body and your mind adjust to being in that space. You acclimatize, you make it familiar. And we know, right? The body loves things to be familiar. Familiar seems to equate itself to being safe. Unknown and new just fall into that camp of being, uh-oh, this may not be safe, so we better not do it. Here's your controlled imagination coming in. What are you going to be willing to be the driving force in what you would love to have? If it's not lighting you up, if it's not making you feel better, if it's not giving you that sense of wonderment or curiosity or empowerment, fun, whatever those words are that are positive for you, then you need to stop the other ones. We all have to stop spending time in worst case scenarios. Unless for some reason you're enjoying them and they're giving you what you would like, then by all means, carry on. But if you're not living the life that you would love to be living, if you're not living each day with ease, flow, and fun, then bring in that imagination. Control it. Stop the energies, the sensations, the thoughts that derail you into throwing it out. Worst case scenario, it's a pipe dream, it'll never happen. Bring in what you require to really wish to attach to it, to make it part of you, and to bring it into the world. Your imagination may run wild with it. And that's cool, and that's great. And have fun with this. But be aware. And when those other sides start to come in, stop them. Just say, stop. Do not let yourself entertain that side of the imagination. Put a hard stop on that from this moment on. As I said in the first segment, we were given our imagination to use. Everything we have, that we've been given, the idea was for it to be there to move us forward, to help us prosper, to help us live enjoyment. But we get so caught up on the other side. This is making me think of Byron Katie's work. The questions, they're brilliant. They may help you with this. So when you get the ideas that are not helpful, just ask, is this true? Truth. Is this true? If it's not, awesome. And if you get a yes, follow it up more. Go a little deeper. Can you know this is absolutely true? Find your evidence. Not based on what happened to somebody else, not based on a story that someone told you, not based on the news, based on you. Can you know this is absolutely true? And then what is your body telling you with these thoughts? Right? Here's your chance. Check in. Be present. Do a body scan if, be aware. And then the last question is, who or what would you be without that thought? What would you be experiencing without that thought? Who could you step into being if that thought was not present? What could you choose to do if that thought is not present? It's a brilliant way to look at what's going on. Really, really helpful. It's a step towards working with a more controlled imagination. It's a way of looking at things from that perspective of not allowing outside influences to control or dictate what you're willing to do or who you're willing to be. The ultimate goal is to know what you truly want, who you really want to be, who you truly are, how do you want to live your life, and then follow it without feeling that we have to be controlled or measure up to or take care of something based on other people. Your imagination is such a gift when you know how to use it in a way that empowers you versus draining out all of your energy. When we come back after our last break, we're there. Yep, it's here with us. I'll do my best to wrap all this up and hopefully leave you in a way where you will now start to look at what else is possible for you. What maybe you have been ignoring. Maybe you're not even aware you've been ignoring because you've been on autopilot, whether it's been for days or perhaps decades. So hang in here. As you know, those of you who are here with me every week, and thank you. This is a really short break, so we'll be back just in a couple of minutes here on the Inspired Choices Network. And myself, Karen Leslie, I will do my very best to answer any questions that I'm hearing that might be coming forward and set you on a path to a brilliant imagination. All right, don't go away, everyone. We'll be right back.
We all have different experiences with and definitions of kindness. These experiences and beliefs about kindness have influenced who we are today and how we see the world. The universe is always listening. So what are you telling the universe today? Tune in to Cultivating Kindness with Karen each week as Karen guides you to understanding how each choice you are making is either keeping you stuck or opening up the energy of empowerment for you. Listen to Cultivating Kindness with Karen, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Cultivating Kindness with Karen. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Karen@KarenLeslie.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for being here on Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Now, before we went to our break, some of you may have been thinking, and I kind of hear some of you thinking, it's not that easy. Well, if that's your point of view, then it won't be that easy, and that's cool. That's okay. You may need to gather a little evidence that you actually can do it with ease. It's funny, we tend to think that things are not easy to change or to do until we find that evidence that, oh, this actually is easy. Who knew? This works with your imagination. It does. Now, we need to be clear. You need to know exactly what it is you would like if you're looking to use your imagination to create something. You can also just use your imagination to take you into a space that's peaceful, that's a timeout. And then again, though, create it with what it is you would love to be having, seeing, doing, and experiencing. Stepping into a controlled imagination is really an amazing gift to yourself. And yes, you will come up to bumps and hurdles. There's no question about it. And if you're finding that and you're working with this, over the next number of days, please be sure to join in next week. because next week's show will give you a whole bunch of answers as to how to work with all of this. We're going to be looking at, well, the show's called Chained to Unconscious Commitments. And it's those unconscious commitments that will get into your way because they want to hold those judgments, those belief patterns in place. They're going to say, your imagination's been just fine the way it's been working. You need to know about all the problems out there. You need to know what you have to be cautious of and what you need to be really prepared for. This world's rough. Well, what if you could get past that? What if you could step into being that person that you know is either inside you or that person that you would long to be? Maybe you haven't met him, her, or they yet, but you can. And your imagination's your gateway into this. It truly is. Remember, you cannot talk yourself into changing something with just your words. There's more to it than that. Choosing what you want by choosing what you think and how you feel. This is the way to creating those changes that you want in your life. It may sound boring and wrong when I use the word controlled, and I get that. Another word's not really coming in, to be honest. I've been waiting all show to see if a different word would come through, but it hasn't yet. You know, everything is created through energy and through the cellular embodiment in our bodies. You know, as I was saying, your body needs to also adjust to this new way of looking at something, this new form of you, of being. Using your imagination is a great gift. Dream big. Let those scenarios come forward for you. Use your word stop when those negative thoughts come forward. Allow your imagination to run wild in the direction that is helpful to you. Rewrite those scripts that you've been following that have led you to being unhappy or dissatisfied or in a place that's not bringing you that ease, flow, and fun every day. You're that brilliant. You can do this. You have the advantage of myself and others who are talking about this in a way that wasn't spoken about very often. There were a few people in the 60s and 70s, but generally this wasn't approached in this manner. But here we are now, and we're living proof that you can do it. We did it. I did it. And if you want to know more about that, then you need to get in touch with me directly. Speak your truth to yourself. See your truth through your eyes and envisioning what is going on. Tell yourself what is true. Leave out those judgments and stories and resistance that's there. They are really good information, but they're not going to help you in imagining. But those are areas where working with someone like myself will be gold, to bring those forward, dig them up in a kind and gentle way so that they can be healed. And they no longer are putting up these restrictions and controls around you. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in me. And there's nothing stronger. Our beliefs, as you know, are powerful. So let's make them work for us. Let's shift using our imaginations. Let them be the gift they are intended to be for each of us.
Thank you for listening to Cultivating Kindness with Karen. Karen Leslie returns Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can find Karen at KarenLeslie.ca and follow her on social media. Until next Wednesday, Karen is sending you waves of kindness for a fabulous week. Remember, it's only you who has the power to be and receive the kindness required to change your life.